Hi everyone, it's Fury22 from Cryengine community. I've decided to do some video tutorials about Cryengine since documentation doesn't seem to be very clear for the people who is just getting into the engine. And I'm a newbie myself, so I know how it feels like. But I've been working with the engine for quite some time right now, so I managed to figure out, this and that. So in this tutorial we're gonna create a simple button in Flash, then we will create UI element XML file, UI actions, and some flow graphs. Which is pretty much everything you need to make your UI assets work, right? So yeah, I can also cover using UI system from C++. Just let me know in the comments or message me or something like that if you want more videos like that. So let's get into that. We will start off with creating new project. We'll call it UI tutorials. You can use whatever project you want, whatever template, but we're gonna go with third-person shooter. It doesn't really matter, really. Let's create the project now. Okay. So first off, we have to go, or no, we go back in here. We can go inside of the newly created project, reveal and explore. Yeah, that's it. We go inside of assets, leaps, and then we create 3 folders. First one, UI. These folders will contain necessary files. Like here we're gonna put everything that belongs to Flash, which is our Flash file itself, Gfx file, and so on. In that folder we're gonna put UI element XML file, which is what is making our engine be able to read the prepared Flash files. And UI actions, I'm gonna cover that later. So we got these folders over here. Now we can start building our buttons. We're going for the Flash ActionScript 2.0. First of all, we have to change a little bit the publish settings. So we're gonna go here, choose Flash Player 8, leave it like that. You can go for 30 or 60 FPS. I go for 60. And this size is basically resolution of your screen. If you are building something for the full screen, like a main menu or something like that, then you would like to choose obviously higher resolution. I'm usually using higher resolution just because I can manage elements on the screen, because the size of the stage is exactly size of the screen, so I can kind of it's just easier for me to work with. Okay, I'm gonna make stage gray. It doesn't really matter, it's not gonna be shown in the engine, so I just like to work on the darker areas. Fit in window so we can see everything in one shot. We will save it now. Exactly in the folder that we made, not inside of this and that, it just over here. It doesn't really matter how you're gonna call this one. Okay, first of all we need to create a couple of timelines. First one is gonna contain only code itself. We're not gonna put anything on the stage, on that layer. Second layer gonna contain our button, and third one is gonna contain cursor. We will start off with cursor. Tools. I lock these layers just because I don't want to mess up. You can see I can't put anything on that layer when it's locked, so it's quite cool. So we're building our, it doesn't really matter, I'm not gonna be struggling with this too much. Just an example. Try to follow which tools I am using now. I'm not gonna be describing them. Just like that. You can copy and paste some images that you can download somewhere or something like that. It's just up to you. Okay, we got the cursor. Now we have to make it a movie clip. So we have to select it, convert to symbol. We're gonna go for movie clip. I'm gonna call it test cursor. And now, once it's selected, you have to go to properties. This is very important. This is the whatever you're gonna type in here is gonna be used by the code. So we're gonna call it just like that. Okay. We can unlock this layer and unlock button layer. We're gonna make our button over here. Let's make it white. Just like that. Notice that this is the size of the actual resolution of my screen. So you got your character over here somewhere, let's say. So if you put your button big like that, it's gonna be actually on the screen seen like this. You know what I'm saying? So we got our button over here. You also have to select it like that, right click it, convert to symbol, and this time we're gonna choose button, and we're gonna call it test button. It doesn't really matter, it's not something that the engine reads. Okay, now we're gonna go for the properties, and this is something that engine reads, so this is very important. Test. Notice that this is case sensitive, so if you type it like, let's say that, it's gonna be completely different button, and when you refer to this in the code, you have to type it exactly as it is over here. So if it's capital T or something, or E or whatever, you have to also type it like that in the code. Okay, test button is done. You can also add obviously some text message over here, or you can add some more functionality that it would look a little bit better when you mouse over it. It's gonna change the color or something like that. Actually, we can do that. Why not? If you want to do that, you have to go to library, select the test button, double click here, and you are working now only on the button. This is not anywhere on the main stage. You are working only on the button over here. So we can actually do it. We can go create a layer that's gonna be called button. I'm just calling these layers differently because you know it's easier to work with when it's tidy. And text. Lock this up. Text. And then we're gonna create a text message over here. It's gonna be click me mod. Yeah. Take it dark. Yeah, cool. And if you want it to be in the middle of the stage, you can go align. Okay. Hope you follow me. Then I locked this one because I'm not gonna be working on this anymore. You can just have to select these three, right click it and go to insert frame. Oh, sorry, that was wrong. Oh yeah, convert to keyframes. Cool. Now once the mouse is over the button, it's gonna change color to green, and when you click it, it's actually gonna change to red. Let's see what happens. Okay, as you can see, our text message disappears once you go for the over scenario or click it. That's because you have to also create the keyframes for the text layer, just like before. Just right click it and convert to keyframes. You can also do separately each of them, convert to keyframe and so on. We don't want this message to be changing colors, at least I don't, so we're gonna just copy it and paste in place over here. Sorry, I think I don't have to anymore. Yeah, it's done. Yeah, cool. As you can see, our cursor, it's not following our system one. Button seems to work, but it doesn't have any functionality yet. So we're gonna try to do the functionality now. First of all, let's start for cursor. There's a function that is called onEnterFrame, and this is gonna be called every frame, which is like constantly, because we need to do it like that, just because our system cursor constantly changes its axis, x and y axis values, so it has to read it and assign to the element that we just created. Okay, so that's how we call this one in the instance tab. That's how it works. Now we have to make it follow our system cursor. So how we do it is test cursor, which is our element, obviously. After all, we're gonna use also y-axis, but I just wanted to show you how it works. See, it's only x-axis now. Y-axis doesn't work yet. Okay, cool. Let's go for the y as well. As I said, if you type it like that, or like that, or whatever, it's gonna refer to a completely different object. So this is case sensitive. You have to write it as you wrote that in the instance tab. Now it should do. Yeah, exactly. Obviously, as you notice, our system cursor is still visible on the screen. So you can use something like that. Sorry, hide. And now it's gonna disappear, but we're not gonna use it. I'm just showing you some different things that you can do. But Cryengine throws some error on this one, so we're not gonna use it. We can do it in Cryengine much easier than coding, just in Flowgraph. I'll get into that later. Now we want this button to have actual functionality, and this was called test button. Also case sensitive. So if you want to debug it now before you export it to the Cryengine, it's always good to know if this actually works or you wrote something wrong, because you know, after all, you export it to Cryengine, you have no more access to the code over here. So let's see if it can show some message inside of the console in here. Output is where the console throws the messages. Can move it a little bit like this. Output, and click it. See, it works. So it should do in Cryengine. We're gonna use events, UI events from the Cryengine. How you do it is fs command, also case sensitive as everything here. It's coding in the end of the day. We're gonna call it test button pressed. That's how we let the engine know that button has been pressed. Now that's all you need to do. Now you have to just publish it. As you can see, you just create the SWF file, and that's what we need. Notice also that this is inside of the assets, libs and UI folder. What you need to do with this is not something that engine reads. You need to convert it to the Gfx file. In order to do that, you have to open the actual engine, not the project, the engine itself. It's over here. That's it. You have to drop it over the export. As you can see, you got Gfx file now created from the SWF file, and that's something the engine reads, but not on its own. You need to go now inside in here, and we're gonna create file. We're gonna call it button XML. I highly recommend you to get Notepad++. This is very fucking good program. Okay. As you can see, the file is empty. We have to fill it up. I prepared some empty UI element files so you can derive from it. Look, it's empty. There's nothing pretty much. Go copy it and paste in here. We don't need this one anymore. With that, we can start filling it up. Tutorial. Copy and paste it everywhere. Cool. As you can see, we have no functions inside in here. We have no variables, arrays, move eclipses. What we got is event, and we want to use this event now. That's it. Test button pressed. I'm not really sure if it's case sensitive as well, but I always follow the same way I wrote it in here, just, you know, in case of avoiding some bugs. That's it. With this, engine is gonna read your your UI element. That's the most important thing. This refers to your Gfx file. These things are not so important because we're gonna change the constraints later with the UI actions, and I'm gonna get into that in a moment. So that's it. We got our UI element. This is something that engine reads. So now, what are we gonna do? We can close it already. We're gonna go to UI tutorials project and launch editor. Hope you learned something from that. We're gonna create some new map UI tutorials. Okay, let's make it small so it's not gonna be, yeah, that's it, just some example map, whatever, right? Now we're gonna go, let's create maybe UI actions first. We got this map, but we're not gonna use it at the moment. We're gonna go to flow graph. And we're gonna go to UI actions. File, new UI action. Inside in here. And the file will be called tutorial button hide. It doesn't really matter how you're gonna call this one, but you're gonna refer to this one later. You will see. Hide, and the second UI action. tutorial button show. Go. How we build UI action. You can also build actions like okay, this action, that's how we're gonna build it. First of all, we're gonna need a couple of UI nodes. UI action, start action. We're gonna need also UI display config action. Let's do it like that. We're also gonna need UI display constraints and UI display. This is pretty much what shows and hides the element on the screen. And the last one will be end action. That's all you need. You need to enable this one and that one here. Okay, let's go with it. Start action, set, on set to set in here, and set to hide. We're gonna hide this action, and on hide to end action. Now we have to choose the elements that it's gonna be working on. It's obviously just tutorial button in here. So if it doesn't show up in here, it means something is wrong with your XML file. I've been through that, and I'm telling you, sometimes just you put space somewhere in the wrong position, and it's gonna cause some, trouble. So we don't need cursor on mouse events or anything, because this is action that is hiding our element. So that's pretty much all we need. As I said before, you don't need to put in there the constraints like full screen and everything, because in the end of the day you're gonna put them over here, but not with this action. Okay, I think that's pretty much all we need. As you can see, you have a lot of options here. You can change alpha, you can also work with the mouse events cursor. That's why we didn't use the function before that I showed you on the beginning of the video, because you can do it over here. Okay, so now file, save. We're gonna do the same with the show action. It's just gonna be changing here and in there. That's why I'm gonna copy everything, right click it, and it doesn't have, oh yeah, copy in here. Go for the show action, paste with links. Exactly the same thing. All we're gonna change in here is just hide to show and show. That's it. Second thing, we don't want cursor to appear. So it's gonna, if you want system cursor to be visible, then we're gonna tick in here, but we don't want this to happen. What we need is mouse events. This means that when you move around your cursor, it's gonna take how can I say, it's gonna take values from the X and Y axis. That's what you need. And not only, but it's gonna also take mouse clicks and everything. So that's what you need for this element. This is necessary. Key events, you can play with this. This is just tutorial about simple button, right? So we're not gonna go over everything, but you can just experiment and do whatever you want with this. Yeah, it seems to be good. Save external graph. It might not work at the first time. You may need to restart the editor in order to use these actions, but we will try it anyway. We're gonna create spawn point. This little motherfucker is invisible, but we're just gonna select it, go for open, whatever you call it, doesn't really matter. So we got the flow graph for it. Oh yeah, got the flow graph for it. What you're gonna do is at the start node, UI action control. Output when you start the game. That's just example. Obviously you can start it anywhere, like on the button or something, which I'm gonna show as well. UI action, and that's the two actions we've made. It's show action, right? That's the one that shows our element. Then go for OK. That's it. That should be it. Let's try it out. As you can see, everything works properly. This event doesn't have any functionality yet, but trust me, it will work. Let's go back in here, see if our event is doing anything actually. Tutorial button, tests. Okay. What would we do? Like, well, let's just show message in the console maybe. Input message. Okay, cool. Let's try it out. It should appear below my cursor. You can see now. That means that event works properly. Cool. Now you can do whatever you want from here. On event will be called every time that you click the button. So whatever you want to do, you want to push the chest or some other entity in here, whatever, you can do whatever, really. You can change, I don't know, size of something, you can do really whatever. It's cool, right? You can also start the action on the other trigger. As you can see, action shouldn't, UI element shouldn't be shown now, because in the start of the game, nothing triggers action control. But it actually does appear. Well, I think this is because this is by default. This is being started by default, probably, or it's just a mistake. Just as I said, sometimes when you do not, when you save these two files, UI actions, and you do not reset the whole Cryengine editor, it's gonna cause some weird things. Let's just reset it and see what happens. Just be patient, because my computer is not a, you know, the speed demon. Okay, we call them up. Then let's go. Oh, fuck knows where you are. That invisibility of that spawn point is pain in my ass, really. Okay, we got that. And let's see what happens in here. So as you can see, it doesn't show the action. So that was just because we didn't reset it. So remember, every time you save these two files, you have to reset the whole editor. That's pretty much it. Now, at the start of the game, we already did that, so we don't need this anymore. Well, let's do some stuff like input key. And if you press the input key, it's gonna start the action. Let's say it's gonna be H. Doesn't matter really. Let's make the another one here. Like that. This will be the hide action. Right? It's gonna hide everything. So when it's pressed, it's gonna hide it. H is gonna show action, and let's say G is gonna hide it, right? Okay, see if it works. H, G. You know what I mean? So cool, everything works just fine. I think that's pretty much everything for today. I hope I help, newbies on the forum, just like myself, because it's sometimes quite hard to get into that from the beginning, but once you start doing something and see the effects, it starts, giving you some motivation, and then you're gonna go faster and faster, and then you're gonna go through programming without even noticing it. So that will be all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope it helped some people in the community. And as I said before, let me know in the comments or message me or something on the community if you want me to cover C++ side of the UI system or anything else. Cool. So see you later.